Good morning, everyone. I don't know why every time I record, this little thing pops up in the corner. Okay, welcome to Interpersonal Communication. What I'm going to do in this video is just take you through, I think I call it how to navigate the course. We will go over this in class, or if you're listening to this after class, we have gone over this in class, but I always think it's good to have something that you can refer back to. So when you log into Blackboard and then you get into this class, the first page you're going to land on is the announcements. I set it up so that every time I put in an announcement, it also sends a copy to your Tunxus email. So you definitely should get into the habit of checking that email on a regular basis. All right. On the left-hand side, you will see this first block are the places that you're going to go all the time. The next block with messages, this is how you would contact me. This is how you can check when things are due and grades that you got. And I don't think we're going to be using Collaborate at all. And then every course has, Tunxus Library, Tech Support, Academic Resources, and I'm going to get rid of, you don't need Tunxus Library twice, although they are phenomenal. Okay, if you click on the course outline page, what you see is, I don't know why I put this here. I have this in two spots. The course outline and calendar. Basically, just in case you're not familiar with online classes, anything that's underlined is a hyperlink. So when you click on it, what we have is the course outline. Every other college, I think, in the world calls it a syllabus. And I have it as a Word document, and I also have it as a PDF. I have made a calendar as a Word document and also as a PDF. The PDFs tend to open a little more easily. Okay, or they don't. This is a pretty standard course outline. We are, as Tunxus faculty, we are required to include certain information. So here's a way that you can contact me. Here is my Google phone number. It is, and I say this later on, it is okay to text me if it is urgent. Otherwise, what you're going to want to do is you are going to go to this button here and you're going to click on messages and send me a message. Okay, so immediately after class, our class goes from 5 to 6:15, and then from 6:30 to 7:30, I will be available to meet with you. If that doesn't work because of how crazy your life is, just let me know when you'd like to when you'd like to meet with me, and we can work something out. Okay. So make sure you are checking your Tunxus email regularly. I'm asking you to please use the message function in Blackboard to contact me, because I'm going to be checking that every day. I'm only going to be checking my Tunxus email, maybe every other day. So you send me an email on a Monday and I don't happen to check it until Tuesday, then you're thinking, wow, what is this with Professor Yao? And she doesn't get back to people. Okay, but if you send me a message in Blackboard, I will respond very quickly. All right, standard class, standard information. I guess my brain hasn't caught up with my mouth. Okay. This is a class that assumes that you are at least at the level of composition so that you have decent writing skills. This semester, I've decided I need to include, and I will probably do it for the second week, some pointers on how to write effective journals and an effective essay. Okay, there are the outcomes. My suggestion is read this. If you have questions, let me know. I don't know. I think it's kind of frustrating if the teacher reads to you, because this is not an exciting story necessarily. All right, let me scroll down. Rather than a final exam, we will have a final essay. And this final essay is showing me what you have learned in the course. Because it is relatively weighty, what I'm going to do is ask you to write it in sections. So you will write a section. I will give you feedback. I will say, I want you to make some changes. I need you to add more information. And then when you submit the second part, you're going to include the revised part. For the most, and each of these times that you submit something, you get a grade for it. That goes into this 320 points. Most students have told me that they really appreciate this, especially those of you, well, I should say those of us who are procrastinators. To have these deadlines along the way really helps so that we're not scrambling at the last minute. It's also important to understand that I don't know if I should say I'm demanding. I have fairly high expectations of what this final essay should look like, and you won't know what those expectations are until you submit some work. So I thought it was unfair, even though you've seen what I'm looking for over the course of the semester, but to have the final essay be a one and done doesn't seem very fair. So that's why I have you do it in sections. Okay, to get to this understanding of the final essay for the class, you're going to have a journal it's due approximately every other week. I will show you where you can find some more information about it. If we were in the classroom for number 3 discussions, if we were in the classroom, I would break you up into groups. I'd have you write about it, and then I'd have you write roughly a paragraph about what your group discussed. In the class, I would be sitting in on each of the groups. So what we're going to do in this class is and I just went blank on what it's called. In WebEx, I will break you up into groups. I will let you know well in advance what the topic of the discussion is. You will discuss it and you will write it up. Okay, and what you're going to do in the write-up is you're going to basically tell me what you talked about, what you learned, but you're also evaluating how your group worked, because that is part of interpersonal communication. I'm going to have you do a quiz on every chapter. The first quiz, which is on the course outline, is not going to count in the final grade. I just want you to get an idea of what quizzes in my class look like. I have set it up so that you have a very strict timeline or time frame. You have 10 minutes to do the quiz, but you can do it twice. So my suggestion is, review the material, go in, take the quiz. When you see that it'll tell you got number 1, 7, and 10 wrong. Take a look at those and then say, where is this information? Go look it up and then retake the quiz. Alrighty. Before every class, except for the first one, I'm going to ask you to do a pre-class survey where I'm going to say, you've read the chapter, how good is your understanding, what do you want to make sure we go over in class, what are you willing to share? And I do this for 2 reasons. One is I want, while I am, putting this in air quotes, an expert on this topic, at least probably more so than you, because I've been teaching this class for a while, I want you to be invested in the material. I want you to read and think about these topics. So if I ask you to do it before class, then you're taking a little more ownership of the material. And then also the second point is you tell me what, even from reading and listening to the lectures that I've posted, you don't understand. I can make sure that we spend some time in class talking about it. And then there is a final self-evaluation where you're basically telling me what you learned. Okay, if we scroll down, nothing is earth-shattering in this. It's probably very similar to all your classes, but I do want to talk about the idea of cheating. Not frequently, but every once in a while, a student will turn in work that is not his or her own. Sometimes I understand it's, you're quoting from some place and you didn't do it correctly. But I have had students who copy something word for word. This is absolutely not allowed. If you do this, you get a 0 for the assignment, and I reach out to the dean of students and I say, hey, John Smith or Jane Smith cheated or, plagiarized. I give them a copy of what you did, give them a copy of what the original was, and then the dean will say, come in and talk to me. That happens. You get a 0 and we move on. If it happens again, then you usually fail the class. Okay. I don't ask you to use outside sources. But if you do, let's say you happen to read something and you say, wow, this was really interesting. Put that in your journal, for example. In chapter 8, when we were talking about listening, I was in the doctor's office and I was reading an article in a magazine, or no one does that. I was on my phone and I saw this interesting article and it said, that's fine. Okay. It doesn't even have to necessarily be an academic article. Okay. Let's see, where is this? Work is due when it's due. Please, please, please do not, if you get into the habit of submitting work late, you're going to rack up a lot of zeros. Okay, so pay attention to the calendar when things are due. Because I know that life can be really crazy, what I have done is I'm giving everyone a virtual green card. I don't know why I called them green cards, but I've been doing this for a while. So one of them says you can skip an assignment. No questions asked, you get full credit. Another one lets you turn in an assignment late. So let's say, and please don't use it on the first journal or the first quiz. You need to get a sense of what I'm asking of you before you start using them. And my suggestion is save it for the assignments that are the weightiest. Those are the journals. Let's say at a certain point you realize that, wow, you have an exam in a math class and you have an essay due in a sociology class and one of your speeches for public speaking is due. And so you say, I'm going to use my green card for the journal on chapter 9 or 10. So you go in and instead of uploading the work, you say, I'm using my green card and I give you 40 points. Okay. If you don't use your green cards, then you don't, I'm not going to add points. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Scrolling down, I have the course schedule, what we're going to talk about in class, and what the homework is due. What homework is due. You can't see it well here, but if you happen to print things out, I made this a little box so you could check it off. Please let me know what you think about this. Instead of having everything all in one color, for example, the reading is always in red, the journals are in blue, the quizzes are in purple, the discussion write-up is in green. Blackboard doesn't like it because the colors are too faint. So if you're having a problem seeing those, let me know and I will make them all, what's the word? I'll put them all in black rather than color. Okay. What I also did, because I think in charts and graphs and calendars, is I have made a calendar and I've shown you where everything is due. Okay, so one of my students told me that she printed this out so she knew exactly what was due, and then she could just cross it off as she did it. Okay, I forgot to add this. I will have to do that right away. Okay, alrighty, let me get out of this one. Let's close this. Okay, so that's the most important materials right now. And the course content getting started has the general information that we have in every online class. But then what I will do is I usually just put up 1 week at a time, but I just put up 2 weeks for here. When you click on the week, you will see how the course is structured. So it says start with these videos. So this is the how to navigate the course. Submitting work and accessing feedback is there. Once again, I put in the resources for Interplay and the library link. And here is a quiz. And I'm going back and forth about having everyone put their bio up. We'll talk about this in class. You let me know whether you think it's a good idea or not. I think it's a good idea, but I'd like your feedback, okay? I don't want to click on this because once you click on it, you start the quiz, okay? Let me see. So basically that is the work that you are going to have due at the end of this first week in class is to take a quiz on the course outline. As I say, I'm not going to count that grade. I just want you to do it so you have an idea of the kinds of questions I might ask. This is more typical, so the next week we will look at chapter 1. I always have the lecture, so I have lecture, and then a video that's mentioned in the textbook. And well, then I put in a song because they mentioned Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles. I love the Beatles. Okay, then I have a lecture, then I have a lecture, I have a lecture, and then another video that they mentioned. I try to keep the videos short, but I talk a lot. So they run, ooh, that's a long one. All right, so for example, this second section, which is talking about the communication process, it's a 22.5-minute video. You don't have to watch it all at once. It's a good idea, you know, if your attention span is 10 minutes, watch 10 minutes of it, get up, make a cup of coffee, come back and watch the rest of it. There is a lot of duplication between what I say and what is in the textbook, and I'm basing it on what students have told me in the past or things that they didn't quite understand. And I also bring in some other information that the textbook doesn't talk about, but which I think is very interesting. So what we're going to do after this first week is I'm going to get some feedback from you, and maybe I need to re-record the videos to be shorter. Okay, then there's going to be the discussion write-up from class, and I forgot to attach the scenario, so I will I will do that in a bit. And then there is a journal, and then there is a quiz. So basically you click on it and you have information on what the assignment is. I do have right here assignment descriptions and sample assignments. The big ones are the journal and the essay. It might be a good idea for me to put up the discussion also. I will do that. All right, so that if you get confused, like what exactly are we supposed to be doing, you can always go to assignment descriptions and sample assignments. So for example, there are the directions for the journal. There's I call it a score sheet. In Blackboard, they call it a rubric. There's a sample journal with overall feedback, and it's the same. There's a sample journal with the kind of comments that I make. Okay. I will show you messages. If you want to message me, you click on Create Message. You say, okay, who are you going to send the message to? You scroll all the way down. I think I'm the last person. Yep, I'm Margaret Yowen, instructor. You click on that. You click on the arrow, and then you type your message, and then I will respond. So I'm going to cancel. And the other one that we're going to be using is My Grades. Okay, so it tells you, okay, due on September 4th, due on September 9th, September 11th. Okay, so it's in My Grades. As soon as I finish revising the course and make sure the dates are all correct, you'll be able to see when everything is due. So you see it here, you see it in the course outline, you see it in the calendar. There should be no questions about when things are due. All right. I hope this was helpful and not too much. And stop. I just want to stop it. Me and technology, we don't always get along.